It's May 2021, and here's a quick COVID update. Around the world, some countries are doing fantastically well at rolling out their vaccine plans. United States, United Kingdom. Who would have thought we would have said that a few months ago? And Israel and China and South Korea and others are getting the vaccine out and into people. But here's the problem. We are now in a race. And the race is between two things. The race is between getting everybody in the world vaccinated. Not by force. There will be some people who choose not to be vaccinated. Some people can't be vaccinated because of underlying medical issues. But getting as many people as possible vaccinated so that we stop COVID. That's the one side of the race. The other side of the race is COVID itself. Every time COVID passes from one person to somebody else, every time you hear of a new infection, and we are still seeing thousands upon thousands of new infections per day in every country around the world. Every time one of those new infections happens, the virus has the potential to mutate. In fact, it probably does mutate every single time it transfers. That's what viruses do. And sadly, some of those mutations might leap into a version of COVID that the vaccines can't deal with. And if that happens, then every single person who's been vaccinated already, you just start from scratch. Because if the COVID virus mutates beyond the ability of the vaccination to keep you safe, it's as if you didn't have the vaccine. It's as if there's a new disease in the system. This is seriously where we are. This is the race, which brings us to three problems. The first problem is that rich countries who are hoarding vaccines, and I do think that is the word, rich countries that say, well, we can afford it, and we've put money in advance into all the research, and we're going to make sure that we vaccinate all of our people first. Yeah, America, Canada, UK, I'm looking at you. Well, so what? If some version of the virus mutates in Mexico or in Spain or in Latvia or in Ethiopia or in Indonesia, then that gets transported around the world. Then we still can't open up international travel. Then we're still back to where we were in January 2020, saying, hey, there's this disease in another country, maybe it will come to us. And then we discover that it will. So we've got to make sure that we vaccinate as many people as possible. And the rich countries can't think, well, we'll do ourselves first and then we'll see what happens afterwards. It's in everybody's interests that the people who can afford it and the people who've got the vaccine share it with everybody everywhere as soon as possible. Which brings us to the second issue, and South Africa and India are leading the way in asking for the patents to be removed from these vaccines so that we can create generic versions, or at worst, let's use the word maybe at best is a better way to describe it, that we can license factories around the world to produce more vaccines. Here in South Africa, we have a massive epidemiology medical environment. That's why every one of the vaccines, the first four at least that were released, were all tested in South Africa because of HIV/AIDS, because of TB, because of malaria. We are set up in South Africa to be able to do this. We have local companies like Aspen and others who have factories that are ready to go. It's not 6 months that it'll take to build a factory. We are ready to go. India has the same. India has a massive pharmaceutical industry that could take licensed vaccines and produce them quickly. And so the permission that is being asked to get those licenses, or to even remove the licenses so that we can have generic versions, is absolutely essential. And even for countries that might not have that capacity right now. Even if we started building a factory now and only started to produce vaccines sometime in 2022, that would still be worth doing. because we are going to need billions of vaccines and then probably booster shots as well to deal with this. And that leads to the third problem, which is vaccine hesitancy. There is still vaccine hesitancy in the system. Anti-vaxxers, I'm not even going to talk about in this video. Those are the rabid people who are opposed to vaccines. A lot of them are putting out false information. I saw that bunch of people who were talking about COVID coming from demon possession a few months ago are now back at it again, talking about if you get a vaccine and then you stand near children, you shed the COVID proteins onto children. I mean, it's all ridiculous stuff. I'm not even going to deal with those. I'm just talking about people who, for very good reasons, I've done a video on this a few months ago, very good reasons are saying, I'm a little bit nervous. We've got to build a system that answers those people's questions, that gives them the confidence they need to be able to take the vaccine, that builds a delivery mechanism that gets it there. The Los Angeles Fire Department did a fantastic thing. They basically said every fireperson, fireman, firewoman has access to the vaccine. If you don't want to take the vaccine, you still have to go and visit the nurse or the doctor, the vaccinator, I don't know what the right name is. You still have to go and visit them and sign a card to say, I don't want it. When people had to do that, pretty much all of them got the vaccine because they had to see the doctor anyway. If they had a question in their minds, they got an opportunity to ask the question. A lot of them were just saying, well, I'm here anyway, let me just do it. And so you removed the barriers, you removed the reasons that many people might have to just not get a vaccine. We're in a race to vaccinate as many people as possible so that we stop the COVID virus in its tracks, so that it doesn't get transferred to another person, so that it doesn't have a chance to mutate. I don't want to be a doomsayer. I don't want to be somebody who brings bad news. Those of you who follow my videos will know I try and bring good news to the system. But here's a warning, and we're getting this warning from the CDC in the US, we're getting this warning from doctors across Europe, we're getting this warning from people in China, saying if we don't get this right, then all of our efforts at lockdown, all of our efforts at trying to keep physical distance and wearing masks, we start from scratch again if this virus mutates beyond our current vaccines. Let's get this done. Let's get these vaccines done. Let's overcome these three issues that I've talked about, and let's make sure that we remove COVID from the system and make sure that it doesn't mutate anymore. Whatever you need to do in your country, in your company, in your family, in your community to make sure that we stop COVID, please do it. The work is not done. In fact, probably the hard work still lies ahead of us. Let's do this. We can.